schools are not relevant. They're not relevant even now to me, right? I mean, what we're teaching in schools to our children is completely different from what they're going to face in the world.
The next Silicon Valley may not look like Silicon Valley at all.
The investment analysis and IC committee, for example, is completely changed now.
Okay.
I rely on my AI more than I rely on people.
Your analysis. Great. Do you believe that we're moving towards an era where these incredibly small teams, maybe even one-person companies, can build $1 billion business?
And just imagine AI at full scale. And if an AI can become better than your brain, it can start taking control, is the other argument that we have across the world, right? How do we control this animal? You cannot.
We may be entering the first era in history where building companies become dramatically cheaper. But those times when a few founders in a garage build the next dominant global company may actually become harder to replicate, because while creation is becoming more accessible, scaling may become more dependent on compute, infrastructure, distribution, and a massive pools of capital. For decades, the startup economy followed a relatively predictable formula: raise capital, hire talent, build infrastructure, scale teams, grow distribution. But artificial intelligence may now be changing the economics of innovation itself. Funders are launching products faster than ever. In fact, AI now accounts for more than half of the global venture deal value, with capital increasingly concentrated in mega rounds focused on infrastructure and scale. Small teams are operating with capabilities that once require entire organizations, and startups are becoming far more capital efficient in their strategy stages, which raises a big, fascinating question. What happens to venture capital when founders need less money to build, but far more resources to scale globally? And perhaps, more importantly, where will the next great innovation ecosystem will emerge from? Because while places built around abundant economy and abundant capital may increasingly become playgrounds for a smaller number of dominant players, countries like India, where innovation has historically been built under constraint rather than abundance, may suddenly become uniquely adapted for this new era of AI-driven entrepreneurship. The next Silicon Valley may not look like Silicon Valley at all. Well, I am Diana Daniels. I am an innovator, entrepreneur, and investor, and host of the Tech Foresight podcast, where we explore the signals shaping the next 5, 10, and 25 years through conversations with the people building the future in real time. And today, I'm joined by Prasad Vanga, founder and CEO of Anthill Ventures, an investor and venture builder focused on AI-native entrepreneurship, emerging innovation ecosystems, and the future of venture itself. In this episode, we will explore why AI may restructure the venture capital industry, why emerging markets could gain unexpected advantage in the AI era, and what becomes the real moat when execution becomes abundant. Especially, we will talk about whether humanity can adapt fast enough to govern the intelligence that it's creating. This is way more than a conversation that is more about technology. It's a conversation about how innovation, capital, power, and human adaptation may be all getting redesigned simultaneously. This is the Tech Foresight podcast, where we extract the signals shaping the future before they become very obvious. Stay with us. This episode will be very worth of your time. Prasad, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Diana. Thanks for having me here.
Well, listen, it feels like we are moving from economies of scale to economies of speed. AI is making this dramatically easier to build, to launch, to test, and even scale companies. So if that is true, I guess that maybe the real question eventually will become what is going to be scarce anymore. Because from Where you sit today, what do you think is the strongest signal that is telling you that the process of building companies is fundamentally changing?
Yeah. I think in the last 5 years have taught us much more than probably the last 50 years would have taught us. We went through a pandemic, we came out of it, and then we started looking at longevity as a very important vertical. And then came AI in a big way. And initially it was, everybody thought that, oh, it's going to only attack the jobs that are going to just be overproductive, but it's actually attacking also the jobs that the McKinsey's said, oh, it won't harm us, right? So it is almost at the high end and the most transactional jobs. And AI is changing the rules of every business as we speak, right? And it is changing it with so much speed that if we are unable to articulate how it is going to impact our business, then we are gone. I mean, to me, the most important skill for any organization to be in this place is to be adaptable, right? I mean, their business model also needs to be adaptable. It cannot be the day where we say, oh, look, we don't want to change my business model. Let AI happen, and I'm still going to do the same way what I'm doing the last 50 years. That will change completely. And if the C-suite is not thinking about how to enable AI into their business to accelerate, they're probably dead.
This is incredible, Prasad, because historically, competitive advantage came from access, and that is access to capital, access to talent, access to technology. But AI may be flattening those advantages faster than most organizations actually are realizing. So, if AI is democratizing many of those traditional barriers of entry, what becomes the real moat for the next generation of these winning companies?
It's a tough question. And I think the moat has to be a rethinking of an entire strategy for the business. It's not just thinking parts of the strategy. I mean, most businesses will say, oh, AI might impact my finance and my technology, but might not impact my sales and marketing. It's going to impact your entire company. It's going to impact the way you service customers and the way customers demand from you, because they're going to demand everything with more speed, with more finesse, right? The ones that I feel are a little bit better off are the ones who will probably, you'll still need a plumber to come and work at home, other than getting a plumber robot at some point, right? But that service will still be on, and also the white glove service, which is more personalized, where people
Yes.
still want to speak to a human. It's going to be expensive. It's not going to be cheap now to have that human service you in a much better fashion. But if you're not able to think that AI will affect all parts of your business, then you're probably gone as well. It's not going to be one function or one layer, in my view. It's going to affect it.
The other day, we had a very cool podcast with another friend. His name is Rodrigo Barros, and we were talking about AI as well. And he was telling me this example where several companies, works that has 100 people, now they're doing with teams of 10, or like 30 people with teams of 2. So, do you believe that we're moving towards an era where these incredibly small teams, maybe even one-person companies, can build $1 billion business? Is the solopreneur really happening? And if entrepreneurship is going to happen, how it's going to change the scenario of everything?
Absolutely. Look, I think today the entrepreneurs, if they're smart, they have everything at their fingertips, from finding resources to creating their pitch decks to identifying whom they should pitch to, what strategy they should have. If you think about this, like 5 years back, we were struggling, our companies were struggling with, oh, how should my deck look? Or, how should my teaser look? Or, everybody was not able to articulate the value that they were doing. Today, AI is doing it for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your first part of pitching and articulation to an investor is done, right? The second part of ability to showcase a technology demo or a product is much faster. I don't
Yeah.
know now spend like a year building a product. I'm able to build that in a week, right? And show it and say, look, this is the kind of impact that this product will have on customers or on the market. So building a product and launching a product is far easier. I think where the AI will still create, I mean, it will create impact soon, but where it still is probably, you still have to sell.
Mm.
You'll just have smarter and better ways to sell. You still have to make money. The
Right.
transaction volumes have to happen, and you still need some intelligence from that side, from the founders and the teams to build those businesses. So sales as a core function or market access as a core function will still have some manual effort, in my right. It's just going to be faster, much cheaper, much easier to do things, right? For an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but if entrepreneurship is already changing this quickly, what is going to happen to also venture capital itself in this AI native world? Because I keep thinking, if um if let's say the last 2 decades, the startup economy exploded around the idea of that early stage company creation, where required meaningful venture capital, which helped to create thousands of seed funds. I don't know how many friends I know that they already create their own seed fund, or the microfund, or the pre-seed funds, or accelerators, these emerging fund managers. But in this AI native world, early stages startup may become dramatically more capital efficient, because in the past, or this startup ecosystem, they were building so fast. Now they're building super fast, but they were requiring capital to accelerate and to hire people. And funders used to rely on the angel investors, on the small syndicates. Now maybe they're going to do less venture capital and more grants. I don't know. I think that there's this ecosystem is also moving. What is happening for the capital structure?
Yeah. See, India still is a little away from the scenarios in the US and Europe and China, right? India, we still have, thankfully, a lot of traditional consumer businesses that are running, and you still have some traditional methods of financing, just like typical VC would do. But I think every VC today needs to rethink how they're able to evaluate, which is obviously one of the things, the first thing that we do, sourcing the right quality of companies, investment due diligence, right? And then once we invest, then it's portfolio management. And then finally, it's exit management. That means you have to make money for the investors, right? So these four components, if you take, right, initially a VC would probably have analysts, he'll have portfolio managers, he'll have investor relations executives, things like that, right? A lot of that activity can be done today with AI in a box. And we built it ourselves in the company today. We're able to analyze companies within seconds. We're able to create investment memos. We're able to doing due diligence much faster than any other organization that we would have hired before. And then once we sign the check and we invest in them, we're able to do portfolio management super fast. Like, I mean, today we don't need to send reports to investors. We just have a platform that investors just log in and look at the latest what's going on. And they can compare questions in the AI platform, right? They can become more intelligent as to what they should invest in, what they should not, right? To me, I think VC efficiency is going to change. And if you're asking me, their ecosystem, which you were talking about, the ecosystem of VC will also change. I mean, what we were offering earlier to our portfolio saying, hey, we'll help you market access, we'll help you do your marketing, all of that. Founders will say, hey, listen, I get all that from Claude.
Okay. Exactly. Because the thing is that the money that the VC used to give to these startups, they will help them like to hire people, to get expensive firms. But now with AI, they don't need that money.
But they still need capital. They still need sales. I think this is very core, Dana. And sales to me is not just selling online with an AI agent. Sales needs face. Sales needs relationship. And I think based on the type of business or vertical that we are investing in, I think sales it will take some time. I mean, it will be on a hyper blitz scaling mode with AI agents coming in. It help you do better sales and faster sales if you know how to use the tools, but it still will need a relationship, in my view.
And I agree with you, although I'm just worried about like these lots of funds that happen, I don't know, in the past 10 years, let's say, that are not super big funds. They're not mini funds, because I guess that the mini funds still will have a thing, but these medium-sized funds, I guess that they're going to be in trouble because I guess that, I don't know.
I think one of the most important things is that most VCs don't know what to invest in.
Yes.
So, for example, today, if there's a guy who's saying, "Hey, listen, I did this tool which can automate marketing," maybe that's already in like the next 2 days release for a Claude or someone else, right? So the VCs are saying, "Hey, where do we invest our money in?" Especially in the US, and that's why you see a lot of money going into the top 20 companies, right?
And this is what I think that is happening, because the BlackRock, the SoftBank, the sovereign funds, the mega capital allocators, even, they might be leveraging the future of economy, because, if in these dominating AI markets, the startups companies will require massive investment in infrastructure, in compute, in distribution, in data, that require a different type of a scale than the regular VCs used to give. So it almost feels like AI, while it's democratizing the company creation, at the same time is stimulating the concentration of capital that might be required to dominate companies, because the name of the game, as you said, is not necessarily where to put the money, is in the typical things that in the past something might create. But now you have solopreneurs doing amazing things already with AI. So I guess the name of the game will be how to scale that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. How to scale that stuff. And also, I mean, I'm going to switch gears and come to India. India, you still see only 10% going to AI at this point. 90% is still being funded into traditional VC type businesses models, right? Obviously, technology, the last year, the last 4-5 years were all about quick commerce. They were about healthcare, deep science. They were about climate tech, because India is getting much more dense, is getting more populated, and it'll have larger infrastructure issues to face, right, as the population increases. And as more and more people come into the cities, it's going to get more and more, there'll be more climatic issues that we have to deal with. And I think some money is definitely going there. The money that's going in AI in India is two areas. One is data centers.
Okay.
Sucking a lot of money in base, but its data centers have become a real estate play. So I'm getting a lot of the big real estate guys coming and asking me, hey, I want to put 100 billion into this data center business. I believe Microsoft will sign me up to and lease this from me, right? So it's not like if you have the capital and if you have the real estate, then you can build it, right? And you can lease it to one of the companies that need it. And that's what Microsoft is saying. Hey, listen, by the way, we want like 5 floors of office space, but we want like maybe 2 acres of a data center to be built in. We want liquid cooling. They just ask, right? And the builders will do it because they can raise the capital to do it. But that's not become it's become a. It's not a technology play anymore, right? It's capital and infrastructure there.
I agree with you. I was reading the other day that AI accounted for more than half of the global venture deals value, with a growing share of I don't know, like in 100 million funding rounds. So that means that the 10 largest VC funds captured 42.9% of the total capital raised in 2025. That's a lot of capital that is being concentrated on the big firms. And if I'm understanding correctly, things are a little bit different in your part of the world. There's still an opening, you know. So maybe my question to you, Prasad, is: do you believe that the next generation of transformative companies might emerge in different areas rather than the typical Silicon Valley? Because I guess that this cannibalization of funds, it might occur, it might impact the entrepreneurship in that area versus areas like yours. What is your take on that?
Yeah, so you will see India clearly. How do I say? As I say, India is always mystical. It's this and also that, right? Is the exact opposite. And India will stay this way. You will probably have, very deep science on longevity that is reversing aging from, but it might come from Ayurveda, which is way back, right? From the traditional medicine. I mean, we gave yoga to the world, we gave Ayurveda to the world, we gave a lot of interesting herbs to the world, right? That I'm saying that these worlds will coexist, right? What will be very interesting in India is how do people handle it? Because today you're seeing a country which is 1/3 of China, but has more population than China. And most of the population are young people. We have 900 million young people. How do we manage this massive? And these young people are always connected on the phone, right? And they are probably spending a lot of time understanding what the world is doing, right? And their decisions to buy, their decisions to consume, their decisions to connect are different from what we were. I mean, recently I went for a small outing, a vacation, and I met a bunch of 25-year-olds. And you might be thinking that most of these guys will be on their phone. Actually, they actually kept their phones away and they're playing chess. So they are so tired with media consumption from the phones and from TVs, from everywhere, that they have an overload of everything. So they're trying to get back and understand their roots better. They're trying to go for treks. They're trying to experience relationships in how we used to see this a long time back. It's very, very interesting what's happening to the world and how the youngsters are dealing with it. They have social anxiety, but they still want to connect, So
It's very interesting, because when thinking of India, obviously the demographics, I still remember that conversation we had in Jaipur where you were telling me, what is it, like 20, a fifth of what is the actual number?
Every fifth person in the world is an Indian under 35.
Exactly. Every fifth person of the world is an Indian under 35. That's it's haunting me, this conversation, since then. But it's not only about that with India. I think that also, I'm a big believer that innovation is often built where there's constraint, where there's less capital, where there's massive scale, where there's infrastructure gaps, where there's if inefficiencies, because then you need to create efficiencies. And this is our countries, India, Mexico. This is the way that we do. And Silicon Valley was built in an era of abundance. They had abundance capital, they have abundance infrastructure, they have abundant access. So India, in many ways, learned to innovate under constraint. So in an AI era, what strengths countries like India suddenly possess that Silicon Valley they never had before. And now that AI is making this challenge, what are those key features that you think that these VCs in Silicon Valley can learn from VCs in India?
Oh, okay. I don't think that's a parallel because Valley VCs will only think about how the others are investing in their space, and all that money is going into AI, right? I mean, as you know, I mean, anybody who's pitching to a Silicon Valley investor, if they don't have a core AI solution, then there is no point even going to them at this point. So a lot of capital for Indian type of companies, which are in consumer, which are in healthcare, which are in lifestyle, they're all raising locally. And this funding is coming from family offices that were traditional in the past, but want to now understand this new world. Like, for example, we had like this really old family that was into cotton mills, but they wanted to up the game and launch a new brand for millennials and Gen Zs, right? How do they deal with how do they deal with that? Is where India is right now. So India is not at a stage where they're thinking, "Oh, listen, I'm going to automate everything and do AI." Right? India is still thinking um, food, water, uh, good housing, uh, a good automotive car. Right? They're thinking very basic. Okay, we still have to solve those needs to go up the hierarchy. We're not there. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I believe is that AI might help us to solve them quicker. So quick and so when you look 10 or maybe 25 years from now, what kind of innovation ecosystem do you see emerging in India? And what do you think that then is going to be competitive in this AI era? I understand that right now this family operator may not see AI as a big threat, but it's coming.
Yeah, of course. 25 years from now, schools are not relevant. They're not relevant even now to me,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what we're teaching in schools to our children is completely different from what they're going to face in the world. Okay, and I think life skills are important, and that talent needs to build life skills, right? And then there is another part. 25 years from now, I don't think we will see a lot of um, workforce. And it'll be more difficult to find workforce for managing houses or driving cars, right? Because that workforce is moving up, right? And they are working better quality and they want better quality life. They,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 1% of India everybody is targeting, but there is this 99% of India, which is massive, which is still aspirational. I mean, and they have today, there is a lot of money that is getting traded into even B and C cities in India, right? They're sitting on a lot of capital that they can afford better things in life. And today, that's why the consumerism has gone up. I mean, the COVID kind of told them, hey, listen, by the way, if you're going to keep all your money in gold and in the bank, you probably are not enjoying life. So go out there and enjoy your life. And that's what I think a lot of Indians are doing. That's why you see them traveling a lot. You see them experiencing life a lot.
So if you're an entrepreneur watching today, what do you want to tell them? What to sell them to the Indians that they might have some capital, and what innovations do you think that they need?
Look, I think every country today, and a prime minister right now is in Norway, right? After 48 years, an Indian prime minister went to Norway.
Great.
So, yeah, and I'm speaking in Norway in 2 weeks. Okay.
Ha.
I think there is sudden interest to build a relationship with India because everybody knows that this is the largest young market and it's an open market. We are okay for companies, the best of technology and science, to come to India to impact this. And I mean, as we know, for example, the Nordics is far more advanced in green energy, in conservation, sustainability, right? Singapore is very good at governance, at city planning, right? Barcelona for Spain is great with lifestyle, right? And I'm sure India can take things from different parts of the world, and these are the things that they will look for, right? Today, I have some family offices that are coming with me to the Nordics and Europe, and the one of them wants to build the largest longevity resort in India, in the hills, and he's looking for technology and science from Europe. Okay. Another family office is in media and filmmaking, and they're trying to look for what are the AI enabled filmmakers and technologists from gaming that they can adopt to make Indian Bollywood films, right? So the need is there to come and see what's happening in the world and then embrace that, right? And the need is also there to manufacture it and build it here as well.
The other day, I was reading a report that you shared with us that your team in Anthill Ventures made. And one of the things that it fascinated me on that report is that where you share where AI evolution and the human evolution, intervention was the constant tension in between those extraordinary opportunity with extraordinary risk.
Absolutely.
And that same systems are capable of accelerating scientific discovery or expanding access to education or even, I don't know, creating massive economical growth, ideally, right? But they're also capable of concentrating wealth,
Yep.
of disrupting as we are already seeing, disrupting labor markets, scaling misinformation, or centralizing power. One of the scenarios that I was playing with the system that they have also in the report, they highlight one of the scenarios where the top 1% capture most of the gains from AI, while billions of people, they face the disruption from the systems that they do not control, which makes me wonder whether the defining challenge of the next decade is might be not necessarily technological, but it might be a human governance.
There should be more entrepreneurs trying to build for the 99% of India. That's all I have to tell you. Everyone that sometimes when I go into a startup conference, everybody is trying to build for the 1% because the 1% can pay. But they're not understanding this that if you build for the 99%, somebody will pay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, who wants, that's a huge market. You're leaving like this massive amounts of market where impact can be created on AI, especially. For example, there was this company that came to us, which is basically like a swab. It came from a really small city. And they said, listen, we put a swab in your mouth, and within 5 minutes, we're able to tell you whether you have 4 types of cancer or whether you have any early signs of throat cancer or mouth cancer. We said, wow, that's amazing. I said, firstly, we'll have to clinically validate this. Second, we don't even know whether this works. How expensive is it? He said it costed them €5 to make a kit. Okay, €5. Okay. Now just imagine India suffers from a lot of tobacco chewing. And if you actually go to any movie theater in India and try to watch a movie, the first ad is going to be like really, really bad because it'll have these people who are chewing tobacco and then they get all these ugly things on their face and they eventually die. So they have to show that in every movie before the movie starts. So just imagine an innovation like this can eradicate all of that because people don't go to hospitals to get checked whether they have early stages of cancer. This is a kit over the counter that even a government can actually just distribute, and it can really save lives. I'm saying innovations like these which have large impact are the ones that will be very big. I mean, it'll still, for example, the clinical validation for this particular product, it took us about a year and a half or two. It can be done with AI, maybe much faster. Like it might be done in 3 months, and innovations can come faster. It's the regulation that is the problem. It is the regulators that are the problem. It is the experts that are the problem. Like, for example, a doctor feels, oh, no, he cannot get this out because it is challenging his expertise, right? That is the problem. That we have to face the resistance that is happening on AI in India, and I think it'll happen in many parts of the world. Is resistance from AI taking over your skill or your talent.
And I guess that the challenge as well is how do we make our governments to be efficient enough to even them adopting the new technologies that can help us evolve our countries and our ecosystems. Because one thing that I'm listening from you is like if you got these amazing new technologies or solutions in the market, but then what is stopping you is the regulation. How can you advance?
No, absolutely. So look, I think the other big problem I think with AI will be that it will always question the ethical part of life. People will say, hey, listen, I'm so overdone with just automation and other stuff on my phones. Now you have another important, other crazy tool like AI, which is going to solve all our things in my life. Maybe I don't want to use it. And that kind of resistance also, which is primarily technical resistance, right? That I don't know it, so I'm going to avoid it, right? Uh, but it also has, we all know that it has a negative side, this whole technology, right? Any technology that came into our lives, right? And that could be the phone, the internet. You saw what happened to it, right? We saw what happened to us. Okay. We just started becoming uh, uh, lesser quality human beings, I feel, because we stopped talking to each other. We stopped holding hands. We stopped walking in that park, and we were just spending more time on the phones. I mean, you can see that across the world. And just imagine AI at full scale. And if an AI can become better than your brain, it can start taking control. Is the other argument that we have across the world, right? I mean, a lot of them are trying to say, okay, how do we control this animal? You cannot. It's impossible. It's already out there. Okay, it's just you to control within yourself. I think that's the most important.
That's most important. Yeah. So throughout this conversation, Prasad, we've explored the signals reshaping entrepreneurship. We talk about capital. We spoke about innovation, and now human itself, the society. And I love this part of our podcast because this is where we start picking up the signals. In Tech Foresight, we call it the 4 dreams and the 4 trends. And in the trends are these signals that are already emerging today that may shape, let's say, the next 5 years. And the dreams, it's not necessarily predictions. I would call them dreams, hopes, on how the future will look like for humanity in 25 years from now. Are you ready to play with me?
Wow. Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go for trends. I'll give you a future signal, and then you tell me your instinctive reaction. Let's gonna think what is the signal that we can pick up right now. What do you see that it's going to impact in the next 5 years? Okay, so I will
Next
call it
5 years or next 25 years?
first 5 years is what is
5 years.
happening today that it will affect something in 5 years. This is a trend, and later we go through the dreams. So trend number 1, VC operating models. I will say, what is the trend that you see how AI is changing the way that venture firms themselves operate today? Give me one trend.
The investment analysis and IC committee, for example, is completely changed now.
Okay.
I rely on my AI more than I rely on people.
Your analysis. Crazy. So then it's actually not only the operating, but it's the structure of the people. And you mentioned this already. That is actually very cool. Then what about the trend number 2 on investment patterns? What type of companies are VCs suddenly paying much more attention to that than maybe 2 years ago? Because I remember 2 years ago, I was actually in Silicon Valley with Ilya Trebulayev, our professor in Stanford. And that 2 years ago, it's like, no one is investing in anything that is not AI native. Okay, we're 2 years later. So what is that investment pattern?
In India, it's different. There is still a lot of money going after lifestyle and consumer, but much more focused on healthy lifestyle, much more focused on sustainable lifestyle, okay, rather than spread out, right? So there is more conscious investing that is happening in India at this point.
All right, my trend number 3, you kind of mentioned already about the VC workforce. What is the you guys are becoming leaner. So in the past, you haven't a structure. So what is the trend right now on the type of people hiring? Who are you hiring right now?
We are not. We went from 20 to 10.
So is a freeze on hiring?
Yeah, we're not. And I think we're relying more on the technology to make things much more easier. We're just educating our portfolio companies as well as our investors and the family offices that we deal with, that a lot of it is self-serve. They just log into our VC in a box and then they see what's happening. They can also connect, market access, everything is within that platform.
So my trend number 4 is about the deal flow.
Yeah.
What are the most interesting funders and deal flows emerging from right now that maybe they were not visible 5 years ago?
Honestly, for us, it is now emerging from the technical universities. Okay, which is very interesting. Which is what it was way back in Europe and the US. But now India, the technical universities like the IITs are really dishing out very, very interesting companies, from space technology to anti-drone defense technology to AI native products.
So do you think that the size of the checks has changed?
The size of the checks has changed. Yes, people need more money even at the start.
They want already more money because of the infrastructure as well.
Of course, yeah. And it's not that it's the money is. I mean, if you have to build a comparable, globally better product, you need more capital. I mean, honestly, see, VC industry in India is only 15 years old.
Yeah, because otherwise is what we were speaking at the beginning, right? Like if I'm an entrepreneur and I need less capital to operate because I have AI to help me with, I'm not going to give you part of my company for little capital. I give you part of my company for the heavy duty stuff that I need to scale.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. They're spending a lot more money on the credits that they have to keep buying to build their product. So you saw how this cycle, that even if the smaller AI companies are building a product on Claude, they're actually paying Claude a lot more. So that's why the value of Claude keeps on increasing. It's just purely, how it's structured.
How is it working? Right. Okay. So let's gonna move gears in here and let's go from the signals to the possibilities. And this is about like what it will happen, and mainly what you will hope that it will happen if we get it right in the next 25 years. So now it's 2050. Ready? Okay. So my dream one, human evolution, is 2050. What is that new skill that humans have as a normal today? It's 2050. That probably took us ages to master. What that skill?
Wow. 2050, I think the new skill will be to have a relationship with the robots.
Oh.
Yeah, to be able to figure how to manage robots and humans in your life. Okay, it's going to be.
I for a reason I thought you were going to say something like finance or that. Like it take me ages to master finance. But it's interesting. You're telling me something way different. I love this. Is
Absolutely.
mentoring there, but it goes with the robots.
Yeah, you'll have interactions with robots everywhere you go, from coffee shops, which is already happening. You have to interact with robotic arms, to your household help, which will be robots, which probably your car is not going to be driven by you. Okay, so interaction with that. I mean, look, this is it's like somebody gave an interesting picture of India. They had all these like dense traffic stuff like that happening, and they're having all these temples and church and a mosque out there, but also a lot of robots just walking along with humans, right?
I love this. I love this.
It's going to change. The world is going to be different. Yeah.
Okay. It was dream number one. Dream number two. India is 2050. How is India? Is a global power? How do you see India in 2050?
I think, according to Mr. Modi, we're going to be we're going to be number 2 or number 3 in the world. But to me, I think India will be much more self-sustaining. Today, there's a lot of dependency on imports. I mean, you saw how the Indian rupee has gone down against the dollar and against the euro. It's just losing, primarily because we're reliant on oil, we're reliant on coal, we're reliant on energy, we're reliant on a lot of things from outside, and a lot of money went out of India. So I think that's going to change. I think we will kind of build our own things. I mean, you already see on lifestyle, for example, Indian styling has become a lot better. So some of the shoes now that I buy,
I love Indian fashion. I love Indian fashion.
it's colorful. It's close to Spanish, so I'm sure. But I'm just saying that it's no longer just the Indian color scheme. I mean, we are making global products, right? That people love outside of India. I mean, we got the Indian jacket out to the world, right? Everybody loves to wear the Indian jacket. The other day, I saw a Bulgarian friend of mine wearing an Indian jacket to the Cannes Festival. I was like, wow. So I think it is going to change. Like, as I said, India will be much more self-sustainable. It'll still have its deep roots in what it learned, right? But also embrace the new, right? I mean, and that's always been the case with it.
Love this. Okay, the dream number three that I have for you is about education. What is that one thing that all schools will stop teaching in 2050?
Oh wow! They'll stop teaching language.
Yeah.
Language.
Language. I hope you were going to say mathematics again. Okay, language.
But I'm just saying language because it was a barrier everywhere in India. Like, if you go from one place to another, if they cannot speak Hindi, which is the national language, or English, then I can't understand the other person, right? I think that will go away completely because you'll have these glasses, and I'm speaking to you, let's say, in Telugu, and you can listen to me in Hindi, right? It'll just go away. I don't think we'll have any phones in 2050. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it'll be either embedded or it'll be a part of your clothing. It'll be in your glasses, which already.
So going back to the wearables discussion.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be in your watch, it'll be in your glasses, or maybe it'll be, just there, right? I mean, I don't know. It is going to be
a new thing. iPhone didn't exist before, so it might be a new thingy. We don't know yet.
Absolutely.
Okay. Dream 4, it's about humanity. What is 2050? What do you think that the human discovered that AI couldn't discover by themselves?
That's a very deep question.
It's a dream. It's a dream. Remember.
Maybe finally humans discover that God is within you. And they can do, and it is not anywhere else. So if you're praying to someone, that someone is probably been a human at some point of time and helped a lot of people. I know this is going to it's going to. I mean, there's going to be this new set of people or a new religion which doesn't believe,
Religion.
which believes in humanity. When what happens when machines take over? You've seen this in movies, right? What happens when people come from outside of the planet into your planet? What do? You don't ask, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Hindu, but you're all like one human. That's what's going to happen in 2050.
I'm hoping that we get into a moment where religion is not an issue, that is become irrelevant. What is your religion in order for me to love you, trust you,
Yeah.
friend you, do business with you or not? I'm hoping that we can get there. Prasad, those are very truly fascinating insights and real signals of the future. I love it because you truly get me. I usually, when I'm speaking with friends and in this podcast, I can't more or less know where they might be answering, but you took me someplace else, and I really enjoy that. But
Thank you.
what I want to do now is I want to move into a segment that help us a little bit to understand you a little bit more better. And this is basically short answers, first instinct on whatever you come, right? Let's do this.
Thank
What is the best advice that you ever received?
When you take money from other people, you have to give it back. you can't you can't leave, and it is
I'm so glad of that advice. Good, 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 good.
it is the
Okay,
highest risk in your life.
that's really cool. So if you could go back when you were 18 years old, and you can give an advice to your own self, which one that will be?
I should have quit school and started working.
Quit school and start working already. Okay, well, yeah, you never know. Okay,
I learned more from work than school.
interesting. So another advice I'm going to ask you, but this is for the VC people that are creating their fund today. What is the advice that for those guys that are raising a fund? What is your advice?
Very difficult to raise capital in the first fund at this point. So you need to have something very unique that you're bringing to investors. That one is that it is creating impact. At the same time, it is also very unique that other VCs are not doing. If it's the same thing, people have got too many options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think then that is one skill that a VC or a fund manager desperately need right now?
Adaptability in the way they think, in the way they are evaluating companies, in the way that they are funding, fully networked. Okay, in the sense that I'm able to get signals from multiple geographies on what's happening. You cannot, like for example, even if in India, if I see a company that I want to invest in, I need to be able to ask Diana, Christina, all the others and say, hey, what do you think about this? Because you've already seen that trend happen.
Yeah.
Right? And and you should take this collective knowledge to evaluate it.
I love this. So that is the skill for the VCs. And what about, let's say, that skill for the founders that they need not now, but 10 years from now?
Yeah, see, I think one important thing is that you have to do more with less, which is what AI is going to teach you to do much more. You have to learn faster, fail faster. So don't wait for building the perfect product. Get out there in the market and launch the product and learn from that, and then release. I mean, the product management is going to change completely, but at the core, design is still going to be the biggest differentiator on the product.
And what is that profession that you believe that AI will transform faster than people think?
Consulting.
Consulting is already changing.
Gone.
Crazy.
It's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah. I mean, you can see all the kids coming out of the Ivy League schools are not getting those consulting jobs, which shows that consulting is gone.
Yeah. Okay. So, and maybe I can guess this one. What is that one thing that AI will not replace?
Wow. This is this is like this is putting me on the hot seat now. I don't think it can ever replace true relationship and the feeling of love that you have towards anyone. I don't think it can replace that.
I'm hoping that the people that are falling in love with their AI chatbots realize that they just need to find the right person.
I think it's just a trend. It will go away soon.
So my last personal, and this is what I call my advice corner for you, is what gives you hope about the future?
Look, I think I'm excited about what's happening in the world, but I'm also a little bit scared on the speeds of how things are changing and moving. Until we believe in scaling up with speed, but this year we said scale with speed and purpose. If there is no purpose, you're just scaling with no positive impact to this world. Okay. I do think people have to slow down to be able to think and be in touch with what is real and what is unreal. This confusion about what is real and unreal will just keep becoming bigger, and both in media, in relationships, and everything that we do. And people need to be able to see through that. That's the skill, by the way, that I think is going to be very important.
Super important. Super important. Prasad, this has been an incredible conversation. I have some great insights from you already. If you allow me, I want to share with our audience the 4 takeaways from our conversation. The first one is the cost of creation is collapsing. So AI is dramatically lowering the barriers to building companies. So that's takeaway number 1. My takeaway number 2 is scale may become more powerful than creation. So if you have the money to scale, you might be more relevant than just creating. My number 4 is the long-term question is no longer whether AI become powerful, is whether humanity, institutions, education systems, or leadership models can evolve fast. For what we call that human adaptation. Is we need to challenge that human adaptation. And my number 4 is the 4th takeaway is you need to build for the 99% of the Indians.
That's where you create real impact, real positive impact in this world, especially. Yeah, not the 1%.
And anything that you believe that I have missed out?
No, I think you covered everything. And for me, it was an honor always speaking to you. And I enjoy every bit of conversation that I have with you.
Prasad, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today on this Tech Foresight podcast. This is just not any conversation for me. It is really a conversation about, intelligence, about capital, about innovation, leadership, but especially about the human agency itself. So thank you so much for all your insights and for your wisdom. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you. Bye.
And for you that are listening today, if you think that this is one of the biggest parts of this conversation, that is the future may not belong simply to the biggest organizations, but to the most adaptable ecosystems, the faster learners, the leaders that are capable of navigating that uncertainty without losing humanity in the process. So for everyone listening, thank you for joining us on the Tech Foresight podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the podcast and share it with someone that you believe that it could be interesting for them, that they could take part of these conversations about the future. Because the future is not something that suddenly arrives in one day. It's something that is being built little by little through the signals, through the decisions, and those technologies that we choose to pay attention to today. I am Diana Daniels. Until the next time, keep watching the signals, shaping the future before they become very obvious, because I will see you in the future. Thank you so much.